And obviously since that, we've seen this horrendous story blow up about Oxfam, about some other charities and international agencies. Do you think this is something that's going to make a difference on the question of aid, or do you think it's something that people simply separate out? The behaviour of one organisation doesn't reflect on the wider budget?
Well, I thought there was a very good piece on Conservative FM this morning on this issue and about charities becoming too dependent on government funding. I think by and large charities should raise their money privately in the charitable sector, and government should by and large, not invariably, spend its money directly under government control, because otherwise the charities essentially become subsets of government. Their main purpose is to be a delivery arm, in that awful jargon, of government, rather than being independent charities seeking what is best in terms of their charitable objectives. And you get, I think, an unhealthy relationship, because charities are funded by the government, they're regulated by the government, by the Charities Commission. What are they actually doing that is different from that which is being done by the government? What is its purpose? And so I think it would be good to see a review of how government money is spent. But I also think the overseas aid budget target is an error, that we should spend money sensibly with a good audit trail when it is needed. To say we will simply spend this money and we will spend it by the end of the year as a percentage of a figure that we do not know, so we're guessing at the end of the year and can be shoveling money out of the door to meet the target, that's a great mistake. And what should we do instead? Well, I think there's a really interesting opportunity that we could carry on helping in emergencies, which most people in the country think is a good thing to do. I think the country should be very proud of the work the UK has done in terms of refugee camps near Syria, where we've been, second only to the United States, the biggest contributor to those, to try and solve the problem near where it arises, rather than encouraging large numbers of refugees. But perhaps we should look, and this is my investment interest, in investment rather than in expenditure. That if you look at overseas aid, it pales in comparison with the flows going from the private sector. I think the figures are between 800 billion, and $1 trillion each year go from the private sector into emerging markets. But that's investment and seeking a return. And I wonder whether the government ought to think about investing, as it does through the Commonwealth Development Corporation, and seeking a long-term return, and perhaps building up a sovereign wealth fund through the expenditure that's already committing. And that might be better value for the British taxpayer, achieve better outcomes for the poorest countries in the world, because investing with a return is often a more useful way of spending money than giving it to the Ethiopian Spice Girls or whatever temporary here today, gone tomorrow project you've decided to back. If the target is to be set in stone, it would go towards that target. It might not meet the technical rules, but it would go towards that target. And so I think there is another approach to overseas aid that could be taken.
So